It's Monday, and so many of our kids are back to school. So I thought we'd check in and talk about mindful parenting and kind of see how everyone's hanging in there. We have Roma Ketterpaul joining us today. Hey, Roma, we're going to get you on here. All right. And we're going to talk about letting go of perfect parenting. Here you are. Hi,
There
darling.
we go. Hi, Shirin. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good, good. Just adjusting my camera here a little bit. Good. How are the kids? How's everything going? Parenting is difficult at this time, isn't it?
It is a really difficult time, especially for those of us who have young children. And that's why I wanted you to come on today and speak to us. For those who are just straggling in right now, Roma Ketterpaul is incredible. She has written The Perfect Parent. I love this book. I've interviewed Roma before in the studio, and we talked a lot about mindful parenting. But things are adjusting now, and I think it's a lot harder to be parenting during COVID, during a pandemic. So you talk about your tools, which are really important. And for people who have not heard you speak before, I'd love for you to tap into those tools. But how can we use those tools now during COVID when most of us are homeschooling our children?
Yes. So, Shirin, first of all, thank you for having me. I love all the great work you do. And it's really this compilation of good resources that we can bring together on our platforms to help support our parents. Things are difficult right now. You know, parents are being bombarded in every single direction. Whether it's education or homeschooling or distance learning. And I mean, the terms are constantly changing as well, right?
Right.
And then having children of different ages in the house with you. And if you're working either in home or outside the home, there's another different dynamic to it. Then add, a partner parent spouse working at home too. This is difficult. This is difficult. And I think we all just need to first accept that. When we keep moving forward day to day with this idea of having positive mindset and keep moving forward, when we keep doing that, we're actually not addressing the low grade stuff that's sitting on the bottom. You know, this is a difficult time, and we all just need to say those words that, yes, I feel challenged. Yes, I am tested. Yes, I am tried at this point. Because when we say that, we acknowledge our own feelings. And then we can get to that next phase of, okay, what do I do now? So really having that, as Vina was there for your last one, right? As Vina said, having that grace for yourself. That really is the foundation of what we should be doing just to begin with, so that we can start managing ourselves and moving forward in a positive way.
Very true. I mean, just having permission for ourselves to be and to feel, and then to be able to move on. So once we've done that, though, how do we really do mindful parenting right now? Because I really think now more than ever, we're really being challenged. This is our time. We are being challenged more than we can ever be challenged, right?
Absolutely.
And what are some tips that you have for moms who are watching, where we can really, I mean, we're working from home, most of us are not leaving the house, you know, and in some ways it's a lot easier because there are no carpools and there is no driving around, but we're sharing a space and there are no boundaries really. I mean, we're trying to set boundaries, but it's hard to, because we're all in one space together. So what are your thoughts?
So the very first tool in my book, and I can go over the first three because I think that'll really help us create a pathway. To accept and respect ourselves, and to accept and respect our children, and most importantly, to accept and respect this time that we're in. We really don't have a choice. Unless we accept and respect the time that we're in, we're not going to bring forth the changes. I know you might want to say, you know, what's there to accept about this time? This is a terrible time, and we're going through such a whirlwind, and everybody's being pushed and pulled. But when you can't change something, and when that something is going to last for a little while, it's indefinite, then it's important for us to accept and respect it and really honor this time and say, okay, it's here. It is what it is. What can I do now? What can I do next to be able to move forward? And that's when this addressing of feeling comes in. You know, I give 3 steps for managing emotions. It's called dealing with the feeling. Spot it, say it, okay it. So spot the feeling that you're feeling, say it out loud, and okay the feeling. No feelings are right or wrong. Every feeling that we're feeling right now is right. So having this open, really open-ended approach to our life at this point, right? As you said, there are no boundaries, there are no guidelines. It's so important for us to be open-ended and be okay with the fact that the boundaries and guidelines are changing every day. They're changing every minute.
You're so right. And I think that if we do that, then we're showing our children to do the same, because I think it's really hard for young children to accept this. You know, adults, it's much easier for us to accept. It's much harder for them. And I see young children. I mean, I was talking to my pediatrician the other day. He said 90% of his kids ages 8 to 12 right now are coming in with anxiety, high anxiety.
Yes, yes. Shirin, mental health is at the forefront of our concern as parents right now. The use of substances and abuse of substances and also prescription drugs for young ages has gone up tremendously. Even before the pandemic started back in March, I had a meeting with one of our local superintendents who had shared this alarming news with me. Elementary school children, the percentage of self-harm had gone up by 18% in a given year. I'm talking elementary school children. We really need to start taking this seriously. And if you think about why we can't handle stress and anxiety, it's because we have no understanding of our inner world. We are not taught in school how to handle our inner world. Who's going to do this job? This is where I'm calling out to parents. You know, I'm doing this bi-weekly. It's called the Pandemic Parenting Essentials Live Webinar. I'm doing this bi-weekly live webinar, and parents are gathering. This will be my 3rd one coming up next week. And I'm gathering parents so that we can really start holding each other through this time. We really need to come together and understand, because it's a different time. You know, how are we going to move forward here? Because if we don't understand what our inner world looks like, if we don't know how to manage our mind, manage our emotions, and then manage this body based on our thoughts and our emotions, and understand the sensations that we have within us, if we don't understand them, then how are we going to conduct ourselves in a way that's going to exemplify leadership and parenthood to our children? We have nothing to teach our children if we can embody this ourselves. That's the point.
100%. So tell me about these webinars. How can people find out more, and where can we register?
Sure. In my handle, roma.ketterpaul, if you go to my link in bio, in the link tree, it's called PPE webinar. PPE meaning Pandemic Parenting Essentials webinar. And these bi-weekly webinars, I give tips and tools. You know, I give a mindfulness perspective. I'll give a mindfulness practice where we actually practice this, because conceptually, Shirin, you know this, and you and I talked about this before on our last interview. Conceptually, these methods and these tools are wonderful, but if experientially you're not able to get yourself there in the moment, what's the point of this, right? So 100%. So what I do is I do the mindful perspective, then a mindful practice where we all practice, and I play around with thoughts, I play around with emotions, so that we can get this internal practice of what are the sensations that rise in my body when I feel this way, when I think this way, and then what does calm feel like. So these are the things that I do. And then I always, you know, I'm a big tool girl, so I'll always leave parents with a tool to get them by for the next 2 weeks. You know, on the first one, we had about maybe 20 parents. This last one, we had 40 parents show up. So yeah, just go to my link in bio on Instagram, register, and of course, you'll get all the information in your email once you register.
So,
The next,
Roma, now with back to school approaching, many of us, our kids are back, and many of us, our children are going to be going back to school in the next week or a few days. What is a mindful practice that you might want to share with us right now that we can do as parents and that we can share with our children to prepare them and to get them emotionally prepared to get into this school, you know, the new school year? And although they may not be there in person and they're there virtually, how can we get them to be mindful and to really be present?
Sure. So I'll give you a practice and I'll give you a perspective. Actually, I'll give you a perspective first and then we'll do a little practice, right? So the very first perspective that I'd like everyone to wrap their head around and literally have it be part of their every breath is be flexible. Be flexible, be open to change, be open-minded, be open-hearted. This is also the second tool in my book titled Approachable Parenting, right? We can make ourselves more approachable, not just to our children, but to life in general, when we have this open-hearted, open-minded, flexible attitude. This is a time where we are not in the lead. Life is in the lead. You know how we always talk about taking leadership and taking life by the reins, and this time it's the other way around. Life has taken us by its reins. And in order for us to gain our footing, we really need to make sure that we stay flexible to every moment. So even when our children, as they're going back to school, you know, technology might not work. There might be a crash. The Zoom room might crash. We might have Zoom bombers. The teacher might have a glitch with the technology. The school system might put everything on hold for a day because everybody is trying new things. To be really flexible, really open-hearted. And simply a great practice to do that is just to follow your breath right here at the tip of your nose, take it into your heart and deep inhale into the heart space. When we do that, did you notice how your back straightened up? My
Yes.
back straightened up, our shoulders widened. This heart space is what we can tap into for our internal grace, for our internal support, so that we can brace ourselves through this. And reminding our children, holding their hands and saying, all right, let's open up the heart here so we can be really flexible through this time. You know, taking that deep breath, opening up the heart space and really letting it go. You know, these are things that we can practice 3, 4, 5, 10 times a day, because we know that we might need it as many times a day, you know, the 3, 4, 5, and 10 times, because not only do we have the whole technology piece, we have the siblings fighting, we have the overuse of technology, we've got this space with, you know, how do you draw boundaries in a home that's supposed to be boundless, right?
That's
Where
right.
do you draw boundaries to that? So these are all difficult challenges that parents are faced with right now.
I mean, I think that what you just said right now could be really helpful for our children's long days on Zoom too. Because
Yes, good point, Shirin.
very hard for these young children to stay focused online with these teachers. They completely tune out. So I think that really doing that breath might really be helpful.
Absolutely. You know, I also suggest that every single parent should take one or 2 day Zoom webinar before the kids start school. They must, because it'll give you an experience of what it's like. I took a 5-day silent retreat online just a few last week. And I have to tell you, by day 2, I was exhausted. My
Yes.
eyes were exhausted. My body was exhausted because now 2 full days. And then by day 3, you know, I started to feel a little bit better. But day 4, I was on and off because our body is not used to these many hours being online. And there's tech neck, there's Zoom fatigue, there's all these different truths to how the physical body is going to react. So if parents can experience this for themselves, it'll make them a little more empathetic.
100%. I mean, what are some tips that you might have that we can share with our children, right? Because you've had the experience now and you've experienced 5 days of being on these long Zooms, right? Many of us have not. Many of us, our kids have already started. We're not even going to get a chance to get there. We feel like we have the empathy for our children, but we don't really understand it. And so what are some tips, you know, practical tips that we can like chime in with our kids so that we can help them get through these days and these weeks?
So a great would be body movement, right? because you want to do the anti what is being done so that you can move the energy. You know, we're energetic beings. Everything is energy, right? Even emotions are emotions, energy in motion. So looking at what the break times are for the children and really doing something fun during the break time, if it is together. I mean, you could very well have children that have different break times and different lunch times. So trying to find a fun activity for them before they start school, and perhaps changing that fun activity every week, having them pick one fun thing that they want to do that requires body movement during their breaks. If it's a short break, then you could encourage them to go up and down the stairs if you have stairs, or just go for a quick 5-minute walk within the house or outside of the house if you have a backyard. Whatever it might be, this body movement can really help offset some of that stagnant energy that makes our body really tired with the influx of data coming in through our screen. So that's one good tip. And another thing, which is always refueling and refreshing, and we know this innately, is nature. You know, put a plant on your child's table. Just have a little plant on every study table by every computer, so that children can actually have that connection, and tell them that when you're feeling tired, just look over to the side, because you can always do that even if you're in class, and make sure that you just look at the plant like you're looking at your sister, your friend, your mom. Look at the leaves, look at the life in the plant, look at the soil, touch the leaf of the plant. You know, have them do these things, because this energetic exchange, we all know, you know, we breathe out carbon dioxide, we breathe in oxygen, and plants do the opposite to keep us alive. And there's an energetic relationship here. There's an energetic exchange here. So using that to our advantage, keeping those sorts of tools really close to our hearts. Another thing that you can do if plants are not your thing is just dipping your hands in water. Just fill up a sink of water and just moving your hands in water, because that touch with water, as you know, our bodies are 70% water in adulthood, 90% at birth, and 40% at death. So we are all water. And really the process of aging is a process of dehydration. So connecting with water, whether we drink water and really taste it, or we touch water, you know, how fun would it be for the kids to fill up the sink with water and tell them splish splash, have a good time with it, right? No matter what their age is, just to clean up after yourself, but go have some fun with water, you know? So really putting those sort of fun things in practice in the in-betweens is going to be key to help our kids energetically refuel.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Roma. And for so many people who are just joining us now, we're speaking with Roma Khattarpal, who is the author of the amazing Perfect Parenting. And she talked about the 5 tools to connect with your kids, which I think now more than ever during this pandemic really ring true. And we're running out of time, but if there is one of your tools that we didn't have a chance to talk about that you would like to share with parents right now, I'd love for you to touch on that before we go.
Absolutely. You know, please be relaxed. You know, mindfulness is about being in the moment. And if we can get ourselves to relax, and this is why my new online course is called Mindful Relaxed Parenting, which is also in the link in bio. If we can be mindful and relaxed, then we can get through this time in a way that's conducive to connection, in a way that's conducive to relationships with our children, with our partners, with our spouses, with our family. There's nothing more important than being in that state of calm. And mindfulness is about being in the present moment. And if you go to my Instagram handle, you know, you'll see video after video advocating exactly this for all our parents.
So beautiful, Roma. I am so thankful to you. I know all the parents watching are so thankful to you for all that you do. I think mindful parenting is extremely important, and especially now when we're all at home and we're all facing this difficult time during this pandemic. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Shirin.
I'm definitely going to check out your webinar. Everyone check out Roma's Instagram page and link in her bio to her webinar so you can check out all the great things that she does. And make sure to pick up a copy of her book. I love it. I have it by my bedside table. I really do turn to it often. And I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shirin, for having me. And take good care, everybody. Be healthy, stay safe, and be mindful, relaxed parents.
Love it. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful Monday.
Take care.
Bye.